What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation?
Welcome all the she, hers, he, hims, and they, thems. My name is Big Islo Matine, a well-rounded individual, and let me tell you why thicker is better. How I like to say, the thicker the ways, the sweeter the taste. Anyways, let's get started.
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation?
Off the top of my head, have you ever watched a movie or TV show and thought, wow, that's a really cool phone, I wonder what kind of phone it is? Well, I'm here to tell you. Early episodes of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, they used Helio Oceans. Really cool phone. Anyways, moving on. Ever seen a little show called Gossip Girl? Blair Waldorf? Yeah. LG NV1. Hers wasn't spark like this because she wasn't that cool. She'd like to pretend that she was, though. Ever seen a little movie called Sharpay's Fabulous Adventure? Yeah, she had an LG Kibo in pink. That's right, this was an LG NV3 in America, and it didn't come in pink, it only came in blue and red. How do I know? Because I had one. LG Fusick. Raven Simone and Martin Lawrence in College Road Trip. I know. Hannah Montana. Final season Hannah Montana, Miley Cyrus had an LG iPhone 3GS, and Lily had a Blackjack 2.
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation?
Understanding the intersections of being both Black and queer, while also understanding that neither one of those groups will help you out in the event that something goes down. And so you're literally left to fend for yourself while having people tell you that you're Black first, while ignoring your Blackness in any other situation beyond the fact of you being Black, and wanting you to hide a huge portion of yourself so that your Blackness can stand out in a crowd. Except that Blackness then turns around and becomes a weapon on the other side of your oppression, because Black people don't see you as a full and entire human being, nor do they see you as valuable unless you are talking specifically only about Black issues. But beware, in talking about Black issues, you have to name your queerness, because if you don't name your queerness, then you're not disclosing to people. But if you name it too much, then what happens is you're taking and co-opting a movement that wasn't built for you, even though you're actually Black. For starters, you know.
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation?
Anything you can think of. And unless you're a subject matter expert in the field that I'm talking about, you won't have a clue that I'm talking clean out of my ass. And if my bullshitting ability doesn't get me through, my ADHD will. We'll chase so many squirrels, you won't know what's going on. I'll have you so lost by the end of that presentation, you won't be able to find your ass with both hands in your back pockets.
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation?
I'm going to be honest, I don't consider this preparation because I have had this ready since January, just waiting for the chance. If everyone could please take your seats, class is about to begin.
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation?
Never on earth did I think on this app that there was actually a market for my skill set. A little fun fact about me, I am the receipt queen. Best believe if you need inconspicuous receiptage, I am the woman for you. I am not proud of the fact that I can actually give you a full-on 30-slide PowerPoint presentation on how to collect screenshots and screen recordings on Snapchat. If you have an Android device, you can pull up your multitask screen and screenshot the DM, and it will not detect. I was able to provide court-admissible evidence this way because someone tried to lie and manipulate the evidence during a custody battle. Next, if you utilize any Alexa products, whether it's car, home, Bluetooth speakers, get to know my homegirl Alexa, because she is one hell of a snitch. She keeps all of the recordings of all the voice commands, and you can play back them tapes. I gave this advice to a dear travel nurse friend of mine who found out her husband would bring the side chick into the home while she was away for work. And that bitch had her voice recorded because she would make grocery lists and music playlists to set the mood. How rude. If you have a Samsung phone, the screen recording has an option where you can screen record with the outside mic. Be sure to take a screenshot of a black screen. Pull up your screenshot on the black screen in your gallery and then screen record with your outside mic. This will make your phone look like it's locked, but it will be secretly recording everything around you. Samsung Galaxy S21 and S22 has an Omni microphone, so it will pick up every motherfucking thing. Every sniffle, yawn, hiccup from 2 doors down included, okay? And the creme de la creme of receipt capture goes to the fact that I can absolutely give you a graduate dissertation on the ins and outs of Google and Samsung Android products. If your partner utilizes Google Chrome, Gmail, YouTube, consider yourself absolutely lucky because you literally have access to the digital blueprint of every single button that's pushed and the sequence of every application of that user. This is the exact way I was able to catch my husband and his 3 years of affairs. Google was definitely designed by a scorned soul because when you go to manage Google account, go to data and security and you you can filter by date, device, and application. I was able to find out every time my husband downloaded a dating app, Snapchat, and every time he went to a secure folder to store pictures he downloaded from his mistresses. I also knew every time he clicked the home button when I would walk into the room while he was texting his mistresses and pull up YouTube, and then back to texting. And if you own a Samsung device and have smart home, consider yourself screwed, because you'd be surprised how the things on your phone also transfers to your TV. If you ever need to get into the social medias of anyone's device, you can just take out the SIM card out of their phone and insert into your phone. And when you do the two-factor verification, it will recognize your device as the appropriate phone number and give you access. That one is an honorable mention. I do want to put a note here that I am not a crazy paranoid girlfriend or wife at any means. It's just that I've had quite a bit of living, dealing with a lot of trifling people in my life. So when the time comes for me to find something, I will find it, because I hate being lied to. But before I have to get to this point, I usually have peace. I'm at peace. I don't go looking for...
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation?
The song Year 3000 by the Jonas Brothers is completely inaccurate. That song came out in the year 2006. To get to the year 3000, that is 994 years. In the song, they say, and your great, great, great granddaughter, that's 5 generations, is doing fine. Let's say each generation, there's 30 years between them. So that would be 150 years. So that would take them to the year 2156. Not the year 3000. If they wanted to be accurate, they would take the 994 and they would divide it by 30 and they would get 33. So the song should actually go, and your great, 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 great granddaughter is doing fine, doing fine.
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation?
Oh goodness, okay. Fast food secrets. This is the one thing I know more than anybody else. Okay, Subway at the end of the night has to get rid of all of their cookies. They literally have no choice and they don't want to eat them all either. So if you go in, literally order anything, and at the end of the night say, hey, can I have all your cookies? They'll put them in a plastic bag and give them to you. It's a lot of cookies. It gives you like a week's worth of cookies, right? On top of that, movie theaters. If you go into the movie theater, right, and you bring the same exact large popcorn containers, it's free refills every time. Literally go in, find one that you find like in the trash off the top, pick it off, and then get free refills for the whole entire day. What else? Krispy Kreme. If you wait by the trash can at the end of the night, they have bags and bags of free donuts for you. If you go to Burger King and ask them for the King Special, you get quite the meal.
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation?
There's an entire video game franchise made by 2 large corporate companies where they gaslight the player into naming dead children. And also Mickey Mouse is there.
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation?
Grades. Why grades are stupid, why GPAs are stupid, why class ranks are stupid. And because all of those things are stupid, why even the argument for why students shouldn't receive zeros is stupid. Even grades themselves, like grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, all of that is stupid. I could talk about that all fucking day.
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation?
The Phantom of the Opera really existed. He was not, as long supposed, a figment of the imagination of the attendants, the box keepers, the dancers. And with that opening line, Gaston Leroux enthralled an entire century's worth of adaptations. Starting with the 1925 film starring Lon Chaney, we have had a new adaptation of Phantom every 15 to 20 years. Claude Rains in the 40s, the Hammer horror film in the 60s, the Robert Englund R-rated horror version in the 80s, not one but 2 miniseries around the 80s and 90s, the Ken Hill stage version, the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical, and then finally the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical movie. We were promised another adaptation with the onset of the Dark Universe project, but unfortunately the Mummy was terrible and we didn't get a new Phantom of the Opera movie, which is why Phantom of the Opera is closing on Broadway now, because we did not have the juice to re-energize the...
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation?
The systematic erasure of women in positions of authority from church history, and the subsequent stripping of women of the right to hold a position of authority within the church, which combined with the heavily shame-based emphasis on service serving that predominantly influences women, which has all created an enormous unpaid labor force that is, in many churches, responsible not just for day-to-day operations, but for ministries themselves outside of the office of senior pastor.
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation? What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation?
How the Marvel Cinematic Universe glorifies and upholds the white supremacist view of adoption.
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation?
Either the paranormal or true crime. Those two things. I could talk to you about that longer than 40 minutes.
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation?
Yeah, I could probably give 2 50-minute lectures every week for a full academic year on that alone.
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation?
Understanding how we communicate and the symbolism behind what we communicate is probably the most important skill that you can have. Every single thing in society boils down to communication in some way or another. If you are a politician, you will brand yourself in the same way a perfume is branded. You will engage a voter base's imagination in the exact same way. If you're an inventor creating an entirely new product, you cannot fund that product unless you can communicate what it is and how it will be used. If you're an advocate, advocacy is very hard unless you can engage people in community discourse and demonstrate the power of a collective conversation. If you are a chef trying to engage customers and get people through your door, you cannot do that from afar when people can't taste your product. You have to be able to communicate with them. If you're a lawyer, your jury pool is all of society. Understanding the perception of your clientele in the public eye is incredibly important. The world does not move without people being able to understand how they communicate with other people. Understanding how all of this stuff works can kind of feel like a superpower.
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with absolutely no preparation?
Dragon Ball. How heavy are the dumbbells you lift in fitness in general? Jason Voorhees in various horror films. And there's one more thing.
I know a little something about Ninja Turtles.
Check out my YouTube.